Okay, so let's do a little update on my Raspberry Pi driven Hamclock. So those of you who aren't familiar with Hamclock, it's kind of like, dare I say it, at the risk of copyright issues or something, a little bit like a Geochron, but a whole lot cheaper. And so I've had it running on a TV for a little while, and now I've bought this little monitor from Kogan, cost just over $100, and it's ultimately going to go up on the wall behind my radios. But at the moment I'm waiting for the VESA mount to arrive. So I'll run you through a couple of things in terms of issues I've had, but also some of the setup. So you can find this program on a website called Clear Sky Institute. If you just Google Clear Sky and Hamclock, it will come up. And it's a great little thing. I'm really happy to have it running. And it's quite configurable. So we'll run through some of the configuration settings and show you what we've got here. So the first interesting thing is the default setting here for the display of your call sign is a rainbow background. And so I thought, well, I might just leave it like that, but you can change the background by clicking on this side of the square. And if I get bored with a particular background, I might just change it. You can change the color of the text similarly by clicking on the other side. So there you go, that's that first piece. And the rest of the information in this corner is uptime. Now I've just restarted this, so it hasn't been up very long. The Wi-Fi signal strength alternating with the IP address, and the version number of the software, which goes red if it's due for an update. You have a clock here which is presently set to UTC, and there's a stopwatch function also, and obviously date. And all of that's configurable. Up the top here you have three boxes and a fourth little narrow box. These three boxes can be configured to any of these things that are being displayed here at the moment, plus some. So I'll run through what's here first of all, and I'll run through the options again that are available just by clicking and selecting the right option. I'm presently showing solar flux, which many of you will know is a indicator of propagation conditions, but you could also choose solar wind, a whole range of different parameters there, including images of the sun, sunspot number for instance. And so I'm going to go back to solar flux, which is what I like to have up there. In this other box I've got the planetary KP, so the P stands for logarithmic, and so it's a logarithmic representation of the K index, which is a 3-hour reading of the Earth's geomagnetic field activity. And 3 is quiet, 4 is quiet, above 4 is kind of, I can't remember the designations, but not quiet, but not storming either. So you can see we've had a couple of minor upsets in the last few days, and you can also change this to any number of those different parameters, including weather at this location, which is the DE weather. And for some reason it's gone weird on me. Let me just try again. DX weather. So that's weather in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where that indicator is. And if I can run back to my weather locally, there's what we have locally. But as I said, I prefer to have it on the planetary K, not sunspots, planetary K index. Just trying to do this while looking through a camera. And there's multiple images of the sun available. I happen to have this one available at the moment. Now these look like sunspots there, but they're actually not. If we had a look at the actual magnetosphere, we can see there's a little bit of a disturbance there in the magnetic field, which is probably where that little bit of activity is coming from. But if we look at whichever one shows us the sunspots, can't remember which it is. That one there. You can see we have a spotless sun. So actually might just leave it there for the moment because I wouldn't mind keeping an eye on the sunspots. Over here is a DX cluster. For those of you not familiar with that, that's a reporting system where people all over the world can log in and report reception or conversations, QSOs, with various stations around the world, and this is showing frequencies where those occurred on the various amateur radio bands from 20 meters upwards, so 14 megahertz, 18 megahertz, 21 megahertz, 24 megahertz, and 28 megahertz. And the corresponding stations are displayed on the map with the triangles relating to the various frequencies that are color coded up here. The cluster we're currently connected to is November Charlie Delta X-Ray Foxtrot. Okay, so down the bottom here is a representation of the Earth's surface, probably Mercator projection or something similar, and the terminators are shown in real time. Phase of the moon with the moon's overhead position and the sun's overhead position as well. The track that's displayed here can be a number of things, but I have presently got it set to the International Space Station, which is rising in the southwest here and tracking across the southwest of the sky in 17 minutes time, and the track is here displayed on the map. Go over to the left here, you can have a range of different things in here, a clock and all kinds of things. I've chosen to have a calendar. If I click on it, it should change to various other things. Doesn't want to change today. Don't know why. I've got no idea what's happening there. There we go. So my latitude and longitude and my grid reference, a clock and a calendar. I prefer to have the calendar, and as I said, this one is for satellites, and you can choose whichever satellites you wish to display. At the moment I'm displaying just the ISS, but I could, for instance, display Hope 1 if I wanted to. And let's just see what that does, shall we? If I click on OK up here, let's see if Hope 1 shows up. There it is. It's going to rise in 3 hours, and you can see it's got a much more north-south kind of travel. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the ISS because I'm hoping to spot it as it whizzes by. But not today. I've just had more surgery on my hand, and things are not going very well. So, what are the issues that I've had? There are very few resolutions that you can set for Hamclock. I found the lowest resolution worked best on this monitor, whatever that was, I can't remember now, 600 by 800 or something ludicrous like that. Anything else just made a little tiny picture in the middle, no matter what I did. The other issue I had was the Raspberry Pi 3, which is presently just taped here, but will ultimately go on the back of this when it gets mounted to the wall. Requires a bigger power supply than I had, and I was getting a low voltage warning up in here that it was obscuring the image of the sun. So I went and got a 3 amp power supply for the Raspberry Pi. And now what I'm working on is a couple of crontab jobs. So for those of you not familiar with crontab, that's a chronological tablature. It's a way of making the Raspberry Pi and other systems perform tasks based on chronology, based on time of day. And so at every hour, at 0 minutes on the hour, there's a screenshot software on here, screenshot application, that takes a screenshot of the image that you see right there and saves it. And then at 8 minutes past the hour, there's a FTP program that grabs that image and uploads it to my amateur radio website, along with my weathercam image that looks at the sky outside of this room here. And so both of those appear on my, should appear on my website. Raspberry Pi cron tab, let's try saying that fast. Cron tabs running on the Raspberry Pi are difficult to get running. So there's a few little traps for new players there. I think I've got it working now. Certainly both of the scripts work, the one that captures the screen and the one that FTPs. They both work if I run them manually. I can't presently get them to run chronologically, so I think I've solved that. What did I have to do? I'll write this up, but I think I honestly can't remember what I had to do. I think I was editing the root cron tab instead of the user cron tab, and also I didn't realize that you had to actually start the cron system and make it run. So that, along with making sure the path to all the files and everything is correct, is a bit of an issue on the Raspberry Pi. I think I've got it working. I'm going to check in a little while to see that it is, and I'm going to write this all up for you all in my blog. That's it. 7.3.